Episode 2 of Behind the G already upon us. I can hardly believe it. Katie B. Davis here, sitting alongside my wonderful co-host, athletic director at Gainesville High School, Adam Lindsey. To all of you Red Elephants out there listening, welcome in. And to all of you who aren't quite yet Red Elephants, but hope to be maybe when you grow up one day, welcome into you as well. We've got a great show ahead of us. Director of Human Performance and Wellness here at Gainesville High School going to join us, pulling the curtain back on what makes the Red Elephant stronger, bigger, faster. We're also going to get a quick vibe check this week ahead of the Moody game. They're coming to Bobby Gruen Field tonight with our football coach, Josh Niblett. First and foremost, though, how you doing, Adam?
I'm great. You gave me a wonderful, and I appreciate that. I just want you to know.
And in all sincerity, too, if you couldn't tell in my voice.
Look, I believe you. I believe you.
But did they believe me? That's the kicker.
We'll find out, won't we?
You can see my face. They cannot. So you know whether or not I'm lying. So before we get into our guest, and thus talk about the coming week and, you know, what's currently happening with the Red Elephants and whatnot, I want to take a look back, especially to last Friday night, because my word, what a night we had. Yay on the Red Elephants for winning a football game when we finally got to play it.
Yeah. It was a hectic night, and certainly not one that I was expecting. I'll be honest, I didn't take an umbrella.
Yeah.
I didn't take any rubber shoes.
Yeah.
I didn't take a rain jacket. It was not on my radar. That's 100% my fault. But then, like weatherman, you only have to be, right like 30% of the time.
Correct.
And I was not that night. But we went out through pregame, had a good pregame, and as we were coming off the field, my lightning detector went off. So I had to go. I hate going and having that conversations because nobody wants to deal with lightning delays. So went and had touch base with Coach Niblett and said, "Hey, we're within 8 miles. We're taking a delay."
Right.
Went and met with the Marietta football coach too, and we were familiar with this because we dealt with this at Marietta last year. But fortunately, last year it was at halftime. This year was before the game, and just kind of letting people kind of know how that works. We have this app that we use is called Perry Weather, and every time there's a lightning strike within a 10-mile radius, I get notification, and it starts an actual clock. And every time there's a lightning strike within 10 minutes, it restarts that clock. So it was crazy to watch it that night because for like an hour and a half, it couldn't make it past 29 minutes.
Right.
Before it reset, which was just frustrating. And looking at the weather map, which shows all the lightning, we were covered up. But that's a little frustrating to deal with for everybody. Certainly those sitting up in the stands, and certainly those that don't really know exactly how it works. But it's a difficult, but we got to be safety first. We got to make sure everybody stays safe. And fortunately, once we get through the last lightning strike within 30 minutes, so we can get back on the field. And it took us, till 8:30 before we could get back on the field, and then kick off a little bit after 9. But in the end, the Red Elephants won.
That's it.
So that's really all we needed.
Yeah, the Red Elephants came out ready to stomp, regardless of the fact that they actually started play an hour and a half after they were supposed to. I will say, though, the weather delay and organic commercial for why getting a suite should be top of the priority list.
I'm telling you, next time we advertise there's an open suite, you might want to think about, do I want to be sitting out in the rain?
Listen.
Do I want to be sitting out in the cold, or do I want to be up in the suite enjoying the great food by City Park Pizza?
Yeah, because the food was still served.
Stay dry. Get some free merch, those kind of things.
And I'm not bragging here. I'm in the press box regardless, right? I'm in the game day operations suite, as it were, regardless. But I went to the second level, from where all the trolls exist on the third level, where all the working people are. I went to the second level, and we were fortunate enough to be able to have a coach's suite for this game. And so, a lot of my colleagues were there, but also because I'm a Gainesville person, I knew half the people in the suites up there anyway. And so just sort of walking around, talking, and I'll be honest with you, nobody was paying any attention to the fact that there was a little bit of weather. It was just revelry.
They were enjoying it. And I'm glad we have the ability to be able to offer that up to people. So I got to tell you one other thing, though, and people that know me on Friday night, I do not typically wear pants. And last Friday night, I decided I'm going to change the mojo. I want to win a state title this year.
Right.
I'm gonna wear pants every game, and literally this is the first time I wore pants in 13 years of being an athletic director for.
But did you learn your lesson?
Well, we won. So
that's true. That's true.
I really am kind of on the fence as where this was going to go, but I got drenched.
Yeah.
Like you were enjoying yourself up on the third
100%,
floor,
laughing,
enjoying the food from the
man.
suites. Other than texting me saying, when are we getting started? I was out in the rain, going back and forth, communicating with coaches and officials, and the pants were not a great idea.
Right.
But it served its purpose. We won.
So, yeah, and I'll also say this. It was not – we have some fashion-conscious coaches as well, and people aside. The shoes on the real grass after a monsoon. That man, some people were in their feels about shoes.
Yeah, you have to put a lot of thought about the shoes that you wear at Bobby Gruen. Because typically we play on turf, so it's not a big deal when we travel. But when you play at home, you got to put just an extra layer of thought on there. And I do need to clarify real quick because I did say that I don't wear pants.
He wears
I wear shorts. Yes. I typically wear shorts on Friday night, so I'm always clothed.
You haven't seen Adam Lindsey's name in the papers for indecent exposure.
100% proof.
I didn't really even think about that. You always we obviously wearing shorts with the type of weather that we're having currently makes perfect sense. But we're talking when play gets into November.
Yeah.
Adam's on the sideline in shorts.
State championship game in December wearing shorts.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
It's a thing. Yeah,
but you're switching it up this year.
It's I can't make it make sense to me either.
Yeah.
But I did make that mental note. We're wearing pants this year because we need to go win a state title.
All right, listen. Whatever makes it happen is what makes it happen. You did a phenomenal job though of sort of conducting how Friday night went. And heaven knows when play actually got started, the Red Elephants who stuck around, and a lot of them did, were very happy with what they saw. And you'll hear more on that when we have Josh Niblett on with us momentarily. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what else happened last week. And nothing bad. I'm introing it we had something horrible happen. A phenomenal week in Red Elephant athletics.
It was a great week to be a Red Elephant. And that started off with, you and I got to watch the volleyball match. We hosted North Gwinnett in our season opener, home opener for volleyball. And we talked about with Coach LeCurve, last week, and she didn't disappoint.
No.
You and I talked about it a good bit about, so they won the first two sets, evenly matched, whatever.
Right.
Ended up going, I think they lost the third set.
They lost the third one,
25-27, something along those lines. And all of a sudden, the jacket comes off, and we beat them in the fourth set, 25-10.
Yeah.
I think the girls got the message that we just need to finish it up.
She
and
was
stop
all about
playing
that
around.
business. That's right. And when she texted myself and Adam after the game to, give us sort of the official rundown. Obviously, we were there and saw the rundown, but the official rundown. Of course, we had jokes with Coach LeCurve when we had her on the show last week about the fact that she's going to dress up for home games. And what's interesting was the juxtaposition between her and the North Gwinnett coach, who came in looking like a coach we normally see. Let me be very clear there.
Exactly what I talked about.
Yeah.
T-shirt and shorts.
T-shirt and shorts.
You got what you got.
Whereas Coach LeCurve came in and looking very different in a black suit with a nice top. And anyway, she, and boy, as soon as they lose that third set, standing on business, threw that jacket off, and it took them no time to win the fourth set.
Yeah.
No time whatsoever. And so I joked with her, after the game. I said, "Boy, you take that jacket off. Those girls knew about it, right?" Didn't even needed no talk in a huddle or anything of the sort.
Although I do think there was some talking going on.
There was some talking going on. I will say, and I'm not. Listen, I'm largely ignorant to the sport of volleyball only because I didn't have the opportunity to play it when I was coming up, and so it wasn't really on my radar. And of course, whether it be because of your daughter Avery Lindsey or now working at a school and the school has the sport, and you want to be involved in as much as you can be involved in. Obviously, I've come to know the sport a little bit, but I have never seen a volleyball coach at this level coach the way that LeCurve does.
She coaches them hard.
Active. She's an active coach.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
And not just sort of waiting on the next time out, or not a coach as in putting in the right subs, but a very, very active coach. And it's interesting to watch, and clearly the girls respond well to it. Clearly they respond well to it. That's that. Also, softball. Listen, we didn't get a chance to run rule anybody else in softball.
No,
because we didn't get a chance to play anybody else in softball.
No, and from our side of it was a double-edged sword. We
Right.
obviously wanted the girls to play, but we also knew a quadruple header on Saturday was going to be a tough
gonna be
one.
rough.
But I got to tell you, so we were sitting during the rain delay on Friday night. We were sitting in the back office over at City Park, and they had the turf crew, who I can't say enough about Brandon, Nico, KJ, and the job that they do.
Incredible.
And how they got the City Park ready for Friday night, certainly after that rain delay. But they pulled up all of our fields up on the camera, and to watch what our softball field looked like, there was certainly, when the rain was coming down like it was coming down, there was more of the infield and the outfield than there was outfield. It was bad.
I'm not shocked by that, and zero disrespect to the Lady Red Elephants that I love, that play softball, and of course Coach Prestridge. But as the delay wore on Friday night, the thought of having to get up at 7 to be at softball wore on as well. It was wearing on me.
Yeah.
So when you sent that text that softball had been canceled, I'll put it this way: I screamed so loud that people were coming out of the suites to high five me and had no idea what they were high fiving me for. I wasn't excited to not watch our softball team. I was excited to not have to get up, because at that point in time, we were still a solid 30 away from the game even starting.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the end, we want to watch our girls play.
100%.
We absolutely want to. A quadruple header on a Saturday is, but hey, at least college football hadn't started yet. So, because that would have been a whole different story.
But you notice Prestridge, he hasn't put any quadruple headers on a Saturday for when college football starts.
That's something you do it early or you don't do it at all. So, but while we're finishing up softball, I do want to congratulate Isabella Lee, freshman, who won the cross country meet on Saturday, to come in as a freshman and do that. We're super proud of her.
100%. To come in as a freshman and win, period, but to win your first meet is pretty remarkable. And we're really looking forward to not just what her future holds from a running standpoint, but from a soccer standpoint as well. All in all, a great week to be a Red Elephant. It was a super fun week to write the great.
Yes.
It was just a whole lot of goodness to talk about. And isn't it a pleasure to get to start behind the G that way as well? When we come back, we're going to talk to Director of Human Performance and Wellness, Nate Mathis, all about what makes the Red Elephants, from football to cross country to volleyball and lacrosse, big and strong. We'll be right back. Make sure, if you haven't yet, that you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. @GoRedElephants is the handle. And bookmark our website, GoRedElephants.com, where you can find the latest news and photos from Red Elephant Athletics, plus roster and schedule information. Go Red Elephants on social media, GoRedElephants.com on the web. All the Big Red you can handle right at your fingertips. Welcome back, Red Elephant Kingdom, to Behind the G. We are so fortunate, so happy to be joined now by Nate Mathis. If you've ever tried to email him, you know it's actually George Mathis. We'll get into that a little bit later. But he's our Director of Human Performance and Wellness here at Gainesville High School. Happy to have you on the show. Welcome in, Nate. How you doing today?
Good. Appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks again for being here, Nate. And we're going to talk a lot about the human performance side of things, which is really what you do in the weight room for all of our athletes. But we're also going to talk a lot about your position as Director of Football Operations, which is a title that's new to high schools, really, to be honest, over the last couple of years. But if you can, real quickly, just kind of give us kind of an overview of what that side of your job is.
Yeah, the Director of Football Operations is kind of all-encompassing. Everything falls under it. And one of the toughest things is there's a lot of things that I'm not hands-on involved with, but still, if something goes wrong, I'm answering the call. We're trying to figure it out.
Answering the phone call from me most of the time.
Yeah. But no, it's good. I like it. It creates an ownership in it. I would like to think I'm fairly organized, and getting to plan out what the trip looks like, the itinerary, getting the travel logistics in order, food, all that kind of stuff. Like I do enjoy it. It's a lot of work, but having your hands on everything, it's a sense of pride at the end of the day.
We have Moody coming up this week, and I want to go back to a year ago this week when we were going there. Obviously, I don't know of a football coach, football team, program out there who doesn't know what the logistics look like on a normal game day when you're going 50 miles down the road to play Winder Barrow or whoever it is y'all play. But going to another state to play on a Thursday looks wildly different than any other game week. So as the Director of football operations. Give us an idea of, one, what last year looked like, but two, what Moody's doing right now.
Yeah, that trip actually started, the planning started in the summertime. I think it started with Coach Lindsey making the hotel, making those reservations. We started looking at what time do we possibly want to leave, where do we want to stop and eat, who can host us. You have to look at, what cities has certain type of restaurants that we can feed our guys a certain thing, and they can also fit everyone that we're taking in there. So then you start putting the times together. You get the charter buses in line. You start making phone calls and buying and stocking up on the snacks. Snacks for that night, hydration, liquid IVs, stuff for game day, stuff for halftime. You got to pack all that stuff, making sure that, from a training standpoint, we're taking all of our medical stuff over there, equipment. We have extra of everything. So that planning really started in June, putting everything together, and really amped up toward the end of July. Like I said, just making the reservations, making sure everything, doubling up, calling them back, confirming. Because I know for me, we can make the reservation, they can tell me we're good, but I don't feel like we're good till we actually get there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's open. So I'm going to call and make sure we're good a couple times sometimes. Make sure I have a manager's phone number so we can shoot them a text. But yeah, it was a lot. It was fun. I thought it went really well. And at the end of the day, we've got a really good staff to help us out. There's no way I could do it all. So, when we get there, Lexi, Blinn, Amedi, all those guys, when we got there at the hotel, just having the keys set up so that I think we're off of 2 charter buses in 10 to 15 minutes. Everybody's in their room.
Yeah.
So that part, all of that, all the moving parts, all the staff really helping out and making sure that, hey, what do you guys need the whole time? It went really smooth. And Moody was very hospitable. They did a phenomenal job communicating, sending maps, making sure that we were good to go and taken care of.
And I think one of the things that people don't ever really think about is when you take a trip like that, you're responsible for just everything that happens as far as you have to find a way to entertain the kids because you don't want them just sitting in a hotel room. So it's not just the meals, but it's what are we going to do for this 4-hour block? And they're missing school, so they find time for them they dedicate time for them to go get some work done. They also plan some team activities so they're not just sitting around all the time.
Yeah, you got to that point, you got to call high schools who has the facility that we can come in that, maybe they're not using it during the day, that the school system will allow us to come in, do a walkthrough, whatever we need to do. So, and you got to make sure that it's, somewhere in between your hotel and the places you're eating at, so you're not driving all over the place. So, yeah, it was a lot of moving parts.
I do need to know this as someone who does not doom scroll on TikTok, or anywhere else, really. If my algorithm has not led to pure joy, I don't want any part of it. So that's really what all of my For You pages across social media are just simply the things that bring me joy. And one of them, no judgment. This is a no judgment-free zone. Yeah. One of them is people organizing their grocery hauls. And I know some of you out there, especially our female friends listening to Behind the G, know what I'm talking about. They bring home a haul from the Trader Joe's, from the Costco or whatever, and it is literal. It is just a video of them organizing everything. I've
never seen this.
Oh, the joy. Listen. It is just, I don't know any other way to put it. So as someone who enjoys the little nuances of, first of all, seeing what people bring home, I know, weird. It's okay. Seeing what people bring, seeing how they organize it.
It's a dive into their life.
It's a dive into their life. What does the snack haul look like for our guys? What do y'all make sure they have? What, more importantly, does the man in charge, Coach Josh Niblett, not want them to have that maybe y'all sneak in anyway?
Yeah, we're going to try to remove a bunch of processed foods and stuff like that. As far as pregame meals, I don't want anything that's going to mess their stomach up. So we're not trying to do anything that's heavy season. We're probably not going to give them a bunch of spaghetti or something like that, pizza. Yeah. We just want a piece of grilled chicken. I tell them all the time, it's probably not going to be the best thing you've ever eaten in your life. That's fine. You're going to get your protein in.
It's sustenance.
Yeah. And it's not going to be heavily seasoned. We're going to get some carbs in their system. It may be a roll and then some vegetables. So we may do some potatoes and then some green beans, just something that's really light on their stomach about 3 hours before we play. As far as before the game, halftime, when they come in, we're going to have fruit there. I've kind of moved over to applesauce pouches just because it's easier to deal with. Mm-hmm. And they don't always love it, but it's like, hey, pop the top, kill it real quick, get a quick carb in their system. We have B12 vitamins, so we give them like a little B12 shot at half, and we always have liquid IVs, especially like our high rep guys early in the season. The skill guys that you have to worry about cramping, and not always from a dehydration standpoint, but also their central nervous system that's getting tired and fatigued. We always try to hit them with a liquid IV. And this time of year, we're actually going to start that process on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, those guys that we kind of flag as like we're worried about them, they'll come by my office. They'll get a liquid IV. We'll start getting in their system. And then Friday, they'll have something to drink during the day, electrolytes, and then we're going to get them in pregame and at halftime.
So before you ask your question, what in the world does B12 do?
Well, I was going to say, let's clarify that as a not a syringe shot, but
Yes,
a
it's
drinkable
like
shot.
a cup. It's like a cup, not a syringe shot.
So what is B12?
It's a little boost of energy, basically, for the guys, and they like it. So even if it's like a placebo thing, they like it, and they think it works, so I'm all in.
Well, and I think the biggest thing with all that stuff is the consistency. Even with the meal, like, trying to feed 120, like, they're not always happy with the meal, but at the end of the day, they're going to get the same thing. You try to have the same thing every week, so they know what to expect. So their body knows what to expect, and they know how their body's going to react to it.
And we should say that thanks to
I don't want them wasting any brain power or any energy. Like if something, we're all creatures of habit. We all like routines. I don't want anything throwing that routine off. They know exactly what they're eating for pregame. They know exactly what they're eating for breakfast. They're going to sit in the same spot. Like we're going to make sure that morning especially is very consistent.
And we will say that thanks to the moms of some of the football players, they don't just have to have grilled chicken and green beans after the game. They are usually sourced with some delicious double cheeseburgers from somewhere here in town. Sometimes we get the remnants of those here in our nutritional center. But the nutritional center, we'll get into that a little bit as well, because my goodness, what a blessing for someone in your position to have something like that here on campus. More on that to come. But now to your role of, have we covered
I think we're good enough for right now.
For the football operations, you feel like you've said everything it is?
I do have to give my wife a shout out on this one.
Okay, yes, let's do it.
Because when I would say that I'm fairly organized, she would probably roll her eyes. She is constantly throughout the week, hey, what are we doing about this? What are you doing about this? And she's like, no, you need to do this. She's like, your spreadsheet's terrible. Let me fix your spreadsheet.
Wow. And, talk about judgy.
Listen, also, who is actually the director of football operations here?
I love it. Because she really, like, I always joke with her. I was like, I didn't really learn anything in college about spreadsheets. She taught me how to do all that. So, she's great.
And we need to add in, like, your son is the cutest water boy, ball boy, bat boy we've maybe ever had here on campus in Bo. I would suggest you come to a football game or really a baseball game just to watch him. He's all in with Big Red.
Yeah, he loves it, and that's a testament to the people that Coach Lindsey and Dr. Williams and everybody's brought in here, just to have a place where your 6-year-old son can come in. And I don't worry about it. He's running around. Yep. He's with the kids. He's with the coaches. And he's living his best life.
I love that you say that he's with our student athletes.
He's got 120 big brothers.
Yes, because that's a testament to the kind of kids we've got, too.
And he had, before the first game last week, we had to go down and get jerseys made because his white one had to have somebody's number on it. He wanted the black one to have a different number on it, but he's got to get all of his guys.
Yeah, I love that.
All right, so now let's move to start talking about what you do in the Valentine Center, and I want to say this. I want you to tell us what it is you do, what all it is that we have, and what we're able to provide for our kids. Don't take this the wrong way. I don't want you to put everybody to sleep either, because you can. You absolutely have the ability because you're that smart. And there are times when you talk to me about things, I'm like, I have no idea what he just said to me. But
world?
If that's what we need to do, go right ahead.
Lift weight good. Weight good.
Yeah. So if you could just kind of go into how you do things in the weight room, how you prepare, all the things that we're able to offer for our kids.
I'll do the best I can to put it in layman's terms, because it is a lot. Some of the systems that we have in there, they're very detailed. And I'll be completely honest with you, like especially our GPS system, it's spitting out 1,800 metrics. I don't know what half of those are. We don't use all of them.
Right.
But there are 900 of them that you do, apparently.
It's very detailed. I think the vision I know that I always had personally was to create something like this at the high school level. At the time, I didn't know if we could ever do it because it costs a lot of money. It has to have a lot of buy-in from from you, from the people who's poured money into this place, and all that. But I know when Coach Niblett, I talked to him initially, he had the same vision. I know Coach Lindsey, you had the same vision. And this was like the perfect storm because it's more than just strength and conditioning. It's more than just lifting and running. Everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
Or at least,
Yeah.
you would hope so.
Right.
For the athlete's sake. But, when you get to like the collegiate or the pro level, it's not just strength and conditioning. It's also a performance nutrition plan. It's a program. It's a sports science program. It's having really good relationships with the sports medicine team and making sure that in the event of an injury, especially in a contact sport, stuff's going to happen. How do we rehab them? Well, let's talk about what you're doing for treatment. How can we change it up and make sure that we're still getting work in? Because the answer to an injury is to not do nothing.
Right.
You got to make sure that we're getting something in. I tell the guys all the time, you got an upper body injury, we'll work the other side, we'll cross train. We've got equipment. We are blessed with a lot of equipment that we can work around just about anything. So it was to put those 4 things in place. Obviously that weight room is phenomenal. We've got everything in it that we need, and we can cycle 120 athletes through in 45 minutes and get really good work in. From the sports science side of thing, and that's where the money starts having to come in. Because you can go get a GPS, you can go get a laser timing system and say we have a sports science program. Well, that's not sports science. That's just collecting numbers. So the first thing we had was, we get the GPSs, we get the Perch VBT system, which the VBT system is just tracking the bar speed. That's all the players need to know. Is my rep in the blue? In the blue means you are good. If it's in the gold, which you'll see on their warm-up sets, it should be. That means you're moving the bar too fast. Let's add some weight. If it's in the red, we need to take some weight off. I preset that before the training session based on what we need, because every zone we may be training strength that day, maybe training power, we may be training speed. I will preset that so it aligns with how probably a lot still do it and how we used to do it of just setting percentages. But I may come in one day and my 70% feels really light. Well, I didn't sleep the next week, and then I'm getting pinned by it. It's too heavy. So it kind of auto regulates, and they're able to still get good work in, and they're not just putting weight on blind. So that's all they need to know. They're just looking at color reps, and Perch does a really great job with their display of it. Now, within that, there's a lot of metrics I look at. Main one I'm looking at is power. I'm looking to see how much power power output they have, which for us, that's what's transferable to the football field. Mm-hmm. And we can use that. And the cool thing is, too, Catapult actually just bought Perch. So all of our stuff's about to be streamlined in one spot. But we can look at that data along with the GPS data from the field. And there's certain metrics, for example, like a deceleration, so the way that they can stop and start, which that's football, that's any on-field sport. And if I see something that's too low with that, we've got a problem. It's typically a hamstring. Hamstrings lead to ACLs. We can come back in. I can look at some of their numbers from maybe like our split squats. I can put them through some tests on there, and it can tell me how high risk they are. And then we can identify what the issue is, and it'll help us really be able to pinpoint how much we need to do with them with the exercises we've chosen to fix the problem, and we can get ahead of some of the stuff. You're never going to be able to prevent everything, but we can get ahead of it. And then we just signed on with Vald, and we've got a timing system, which I'm really excited about, some lasers, which that kind of gets into the recruiting stuff with that, regarding like them being able to actually train on the systems when they go to these college camps that they're going to be running on, because it's a whole different ball game than running with a stopwatch. And they're also double up as our jump mats, so we can bring the guys in on Mondays. We have them just do a vertical jump, real simple. They jump, they leave, they don't see anything, and it tells us kind of where their body is. Is it recovered? Do we need
just
to do
from
a
a
little
jump
bit more? Yeah, because if we start seeing their vertical jump drop, we know, hey, their central nervous system, their brain, everything's still kind of fatigued. We need to do a little more maybe early in the week to take care of them to get them back from Friday. If they're good to go, if it's the same, if it's better, hey, we're going to roll.
Right.
So all of that kind of works together to, and I say this all the time, as complicated as it can get and as deep into it as it can get, most of the time the things that you figure out with it are kind of common sense.
Yeah.
A lot of times they are.
And I think one of the cool things, watching Nate work is really kind of being even out at the football field. If you come out and see our football field, Nate's under a tent with his laptop out, watching what every kid's doing out there,
right.
From his laptop. Not your typical, football coach running around with a whistle, whatever. But he's able to pay attention to what's going on with every kid, and the hope is to kind of be able to see what's going on. If a kid needs to be pushed harder, if we need to back off, if we need to kind of figure out whatever's going on. the technology is all able to allow us to see all that stuff. And as you mentioned, working with the sports medicine team, just kind of makes it so we've got a safer environment for our kids, and we also gives us the information to know whether we got to push them harder or pull them back.
So how does everything we're doing in the weight room fit in with all the other sports too?
Yeah. And that's where we have a special setup. Coach Lindsey and our administration have made it happen where all the athletes can come in and get a period to train. Now, all the different sports, there are different demands
right.
That we're trying to get them ready for. And it's good that they're split up instead of having, a basketball team and the football team and the baseball team. There's a bunch of different stuff going on in there. We've got it split up to where we can shift over, we can change equipment out and all that stuff and get ready for that. Along with that, different sports have different training ages. Some of the sports we see come in, I use football, I work with them a lot. Those guys, a lot of those guys, especially the ones that are going to go play college football, they've been training for a while. Mm-hmm. They've been with us since they were in middle school. They were probably doing something before that. They've been around. We can do some more complex stuff with them, and a lot of them need it, especially the ones that are going to go in December and be playing college football. Some of our sports, this may be the first time they've ever been in a weight room.
Yeah.
And that's, we've got to go back and teach them how to set the equipment up, how to lift properly. A lot of the stuff, maybe a little more body weight, more dumbbell, kettlebell work as opposed to the barbell work. So I think the training program and the way it's set up really helps us to be able to do that. As far as like the technology, all of our sports, when they are ready, when we feel like they're at a position where, hey, we can start putting a bar on their back because the perch tracks the actual
right.
barbell. When we feel like they're at a point where we can safely and need to start tracking that, they'll use the perches. Mm-hmm. And then the catapult is for on field.
Right.
They've got some systems in place where I know some like professional basketball teams and stuff like that are using it. But all the data that we get from outside, it's satellite. So I know our cross-country track team, football team, soccer team, they wear those, and we get some good data from that. But our new system that we just bought, we're in the process of finding out, okay, how does this fit each sport? We kind of know what we're going to use it for football. I know basketball's come in. They're kind of doing the same with their jump testing. They're training we're actually looking at some drills that we can use the timing system for. Baseball, here in about a month to 6 weeks, they're going to start getting out on the timing systems, and we're going to start timing and getting into their running program. So they'll utilize that and still doing the readiness with the jump test. But the goal is the more we go with this, the more our training age starts to even out, and everybody's been training for a while and they're used to the systems and everything that we can implement it across the board.
So really, I find it fascinating, Nate. I know as a former athlete, and I need to just be specific and say college athlete, because I didn't touch a weight until I got to college. Did not touch a weight. I mean, I could lift the bar. Now I left college leg pressing 700 pounds. Like mm-hmm. I got up there, but did not touch a weight until I got to college. But it was status quo. Everything was the same for everybody. The basketball team lifted like the football team lifted, like the soccer team lifted, and everybody ran the same as well. And there was never any preventative measures. When I was in school at both Austin P and Presbyterian, I had 9 teammates tear ACLs, and nothing was ever done to one, measure what could possibly be leading to that or prevent that in any way. And so to know that now at the high school I went to, where I never lifted a weight, at the high school I went to, we've not only got these remarkable means of adding strength and endurance to our student athletes' bodies, but preventing injury. Like, this is pretty remarkable.
Well, I think also, too, to follow up on that, not going to date anybody sitting here, but the use of the weight room has changed so much over the last 20 years. When I was in high school, like, we had a weight room and they wanted you to work out, but it wasn't mandatory. It wasn't something we did every day. Those kind of things. Certainly not what we do it now. It's just changed so much as each sport has progressed.
Yeah.
The demand of being bigger, faster, stronger has become more important. And obviously, Nate, you've seen that. Nate and I worked together at Jackson County 8-9 years ago. And even what we did there is extremely different than what we do here. And Nate was the strength coach, but just, technology and the science part of it has grown so much. And everybody's trying to find that one little thing that they can get that much better on.
Right.
And it's just caused it to just, it snowballs.
I'll be the first one to tell you, early on when I was programming, when I first started out, it was very bench, clean, squat.
Yep.
Because that's what we had seen. That's what everyone was doing, and didn't really know any better. And then the more the technology, and the technology piece was always something that kind of interested me. So I was looking into it and reading on it and studying it. I had the opportunity to not really work with it, but I was around it at Ole Miss when I was interning and got to see it. And I thought, this is really neat. And I remember one of the coaches on staff there was like, hey, you need to keep up with this. This is the future, which didn't make a lot of sense to me because I'm like, we're never going to have this at high school level.
But as we've talked about, and we talked about it last week, what happens in the pros falls down to the colleges,
100%.
and what happens in the college trickles down here, and that's again, I think one of the fortunate things that we have is you go in our weight room and it looks like a college weight room. There's not much difference in what you see because we're fortunate to have somebody that knows what they're doing, who knows how to use all the technology and is constantly staying up to date, going and visiting those college programs. What are they doing? Okay, now we need to figure out how to do this too.
Before we let you go to the lunch duty that you rightfully earned as a member of our faculty here at Gainesville High School.
Congratulations.
Wonderful, wonderful use of your time. You mentioned Ole Miss and intern. What's a little bit about your background? Like, how did you become so knowledgeable about this that you're able to run the kind of stellar program that we have here?
Yeah, so actually my undergrad had nothing to do with this. I wanted to be a football coach.
Never does.
And now, if you would have asked me when I was 10 years old, I wanted to be a football coach.
Right.
There was never anything else. So when I got to college, I want to be a coach. I'm not messing with anything else. I knew exactly what we were doing. But so I get there, and they're like, hey, if you want to be a football coach, if you get you an exercise science degree, and if you want to be a college coach, or if you want to go back to high school, get an early childhood degree, go teach elementary school, because you'll always have a job as a male.
True statement. Okay. True statement.
Well, I could do both potentially because I didn't know if it was going to be college or high school at the time. But if I could get the education degree, if I want to stay in college, it didn't matter. I could still do it. So we did that and tried to do the college game for a little while. Went and did the internship. Came back, worked back at LaGrange as a student assistant, and then a restricted earnings assistant or whatever they called it. They didn't pay us much at all.
Yeah.
I was happy. I mean,
The
we're just doing
restricted
football all
earnings
day.
was actually what yes.
But then
You're
you're
still a restricted earnings coach. Just to be clear about that.
You start interviewing and you realize that this money, especially at the smaller college level, is not great. And at the time, strength coaches were not widespread and they weren't making that kind of money. So, and it was still football. I still wanted to have a piece in football. So went to Jackson County with Coach Lindsey, taught fifth grade science, did that for, went to Florida. And then when I got to Tennessee, they actually, at the school I was at in Tennessee, didn't have this set up to where the athletes lifted. So we actually had to lift them before school and after school. So all the guys and some of the other sports kind of got in on it too later on. But all the ones that had to play a sport in the afternoon, they would lift in the morning. So we would train them, go teach all day, come back, and then everybody else would come in and lift after.
Goodness gracious.
Long days.
Yeah.
Long days. But, I always loved strength and conditioning. That was a big piece of, me as a smaller guy playing in college. I mean, you had to have that. That was what you hung your hat on. And, went to Ole Miss, saw that it was like, wow, you can do this for like a full-time job. This is awesome.
Right.
And just always stayed up with the technology. And then, the more I got into it, I was like, I think this is what I like. Like, I think just because for me, I tell the guys all the time, I got the best job because I don't coach a position. I don't have 10 guys. I've got all of them.
Right.
And I don't determine playing time, anything like that. I to tell them, I'm here as a resource for you. So like the relationships that you're able to build with them from January, really through December, and then start right back over in January, you're with them all the time.
Yeah.
And it's really special, and I love that piece of it. And then to be able to sit there, as soon as the season's over in January, like, all right, here's the new team. How do we build this team? Like the puzzle piece of it is always exciting and fun. So, really got heavy into that, and then got the opportunity to come down to Grayson and work with some really good athletes. But there was always that itch here to like, how do we build this into this college program? How do we get the sports science? How do we get the performance nutrition and do all of this? Because like Coach said, I mean, the demand to get bigger, faster, stronger is at an all-time high. We play really good teams that have really good players, that have really good coaches. Where's that 1%? Where can we look at, like what we're doing out there is how can I take the data, cut our practice to where each period we're collecting data on those individual periods, and how can we mimic that to the body demand of the game? Start fast, going in, second half, if you're in a 2-minute situation where you're either defending it or you're on offense, make sure that that's a fast, high-intense period, come out after half, and then finish the game. And how do we make our practice kind of match that? As opposed to coming out with,
That's fascinating. Yeah,
kind of when I was growing up, it was you started individual period, then group, then team. So you're starting slow, finish fast. But then on Friday night, you want your team to start
do the
fast.
complete
complete opposite. It doesn't make sense from a body standpoint. So how can we fine-tune the practice planning, fine-tune how we manage the week? It can't be we're going to start really high at the start of the week and just slowly taper off to Friday night. Well, then you just put your central nervous system to sleep.
Yeah.
We've got to make sure we've got the right mix of high and low days. We're hitting 90%. Our kids call it max velo day. We basically take whatever their top miles per hour is that they ran. That's their 100%. The catapult logs it, and they have to at least get about 3 reps above 90% of that number throughout the week, so that we can keep our speeds up. Because all the data that we've collected from a game, we realize that hey, they're only hitting about 75 because football is so much running and cutting and avoiding. They're not just taking off.
It's not straight line.
It's not straight line.
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure that we're putting that in during the week, so our speed doesn't start declining throughout the year. So. That's kind of what led us up to today, and it's been awesome. And getting to see the different levels, from the SEC to Division III to small high school ball to now this, it teaches you how to be resourceful. It teaches you how to be a good teacher because, from teaching elementary school, number one, like it teaches you how to be a good teacher. Like
always got a job.
And patience.
A lot of patience. So that was at the time I was like, I just want to get in the weight room. But that was such a great time and a development time for me to learn how to break it down and be a good teacher. And then getting with some athletes that had a very, very low training age and being able to, all right, how do we take this movement that I want to do, break it down and teach them? Because at the end of the day, I tell our guys, like, I'm not going to yell at you if you mess it up. The technique side, that's on me. Yours is the effort. So if your technique's bad, then I'm doing a bad job of explaining it. So that piece, I wouldn't substitute that for anything.
It just is fascinating. God, it's, you talk about making practice mimic a game. And isn't that the goal of every coach in every sport, is to make practice mimic a game? But how you're thinking about it is to make bodies react in a timely fashion the way they need to react in a game. Not have practice mimic a game, to have individual bodies mimic how their bodies are going to have to react in a game.
I probably need to clarify, too, because I get this question all the time, like, do they wear them during the game? Yes, because that's how we that's what we base all of our stuff off of. We've got to know first, what is the game doing? What do we have to get them ready for? Hopefully which over the years we do have some data from a little bit of everything. What does a game where maybe your starters are in until halftime, third quarter? What does a double overtime game look like? What does a very competitive 4-quarter game look like?
It's fascinating.
We know what those loads are. We know how many high speed yards our receivers are running, how many high force output cuts, so like how much wear and tear on their soft tissues and their legs they're getting, and we can slowly throughout the year get them ready for that. And that helps us throughout the week. So if we say, hey, today is a medium practice, we're going to be in that 60% range of our game loads. We know what that number is, and we make sure we hit it.
No wonder Zay was chasing people down like a.
He was ready.
Unbelievable. He was ready. Yeah, it's crazy.
Coach Mathis, thanks so much for taking the time to come talk to us today. I appreciate you giving us a lot of insight into what goes on in the weight room, but also, what all you have to do to get us ready for every Friday night. So appreciate you taking that time.
Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
Go Big Red.
The continued success of Red Elephant Athletics is due in large part to the support given by our Gainesville community through their membership to the Gainesville Athletic Club. The GAC serves all of our GHS programs with funds providing the necessary equipment and gear, among other things, that ensure our student athletes continue receiving a Division I experience in high school. Learn more and become a GAC member today by visiting GoRedElephants.com. Last Friday night on Bobby Gruen Field, Big Red football showed up and showed out to the tune of a 26-7 victory over Marietta, their second in as many years. 187 yards rushing, 191 yards passing, led by Nigel Newkirk on the ground. Kareem Hughley through the air. Also got great performances from Dwight Lewis and Phillip Williams. Nothing compares, though, to the defense. Jamarian Matthews with a sack. Xavier Griffin with 3 sacks. Jeremiah Proctor had an interception. 9 first downs for Marietta. In 14 third down tries, they hit on absolutely 0. It was an all-around, balanced, great performance by the Red Elephants, despite the fact that we were a little delayed in getting to watch it because of some inclement weather. Joining behind the G now, Josh Niblett, head coach, of course, of Red Elephant football. You assessed last week's performance considering everything that the team, had to go through.
Yeah, well, first of all, to God be the glory just to have an opportunity to get to compete, play at home, and start the season. You can't get to game 2 without game 1. So, to be at City Park, everybody was jacked up and excited. And, the Elephant Walk was awesome. Our activation period was awesome when we went out. And then Adam Lindsey came to me and said, "Hey,
wow,
hey, one just popped. Yeah, hey, one's about 8 miles away, so hey, we're delayed." And so, but I thought our kids handled it well. As much as you can. You can imagine what that's like in that locker room with a lot of kids and trying to keep them occupied. We usually have a few snacks for halftime. Well, those were gone within the first 30 minutes. So, matter of fact, I partaked in a few of those myself.
What was your snack of choice?
Well, it was you can't be real picky. I'm not a big Cheez-Its guy, so I had the peanut butter and cracker combination. So just plain peanut butter and crackers. But yeah, they had to deal with it too.
Yeah,
so I think the biggest thing, Katie, like just coming off of that. We had high expectations of how fast we wanted to play early. We kicked the ball off to them. Hats off, first of all, to City Park for, I want to say hats off to Adam Lindsey and what he did of just keeping everybody aware of what was going on. And then, and then the management of what we had to do to get to game time. And I appreciate that.
Turf crew did a great job.
Yeah, no doubt. The one time we looked out there, the whole sideline was underwater.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And it was holding water. And Honeycutt's like, it's holding water. I'm like, just wait, man. It's going to be all right. Just watch. Yeah. And after 10 minutes, when the rain stopped, it was about as perfect as it could be. Mm-hmm. But, we wanted to start fast. We kicked it off to them. We held them. We drive the ball down to the 25. We had a couple of shots there that we didn't see in the throw game that probably could have been scores. And I think if we score there early, then we put some doubt in their mind. But then we get a penalty. We back ourselves up. I don't think we had maybe one possession and a half in the first quarter. Yeah. And then we reeled off, 21 unanswered or 20 unanswered points within 3 consecutive drives, then had the ball with 1:28 and went about 70 yards and then missed a field goal. So, we had plenty of opportunities, but I can't say enough about our kids, how they handled the situation, the energy they played with.
And certainly, as you mentioned, we had a great week this week, but it has to be right on your mind of short week next week.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to immediately turn around and start. I know you already had a plan of how you were going to attack this week, but talk to us a little bit about what that plan is and how you develop that plan.
Well, originally we come in and we try to get a little bit of a lift in at the latter part of the weekend, but this year I did a little bit different. So in season, our coaching staff will come in and get our breakdowns and work on Sunday afternoon after church. And normally when we bring the kids in, we lose about 4 hours there. So then we're getting out of here at midnight, but now the way we do it, the Marietta week was we came in and then by 7 o'clock, we pretty much got everything broke down like we want. Then the kids will come in and lift and run and do a walk through or run through on Mondays. And then we'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, have meetings in the afternoon. And then we'll come in the day before the game and do a walkthrough and have some meetings. Well, last week, of course, everything's pushed up. So instead of being able to have an extra day off, we lost a day on the front end. So now it went kind of back to old school because we had to practice on Sunday. We had to break film down on Sunday, so the staff got out of here about 12:30, and then you're right back in here at 5:45 the next morning. So I think everybody was a little tired on Monday afternoon, but also at the same time, we'll gain a day on the front end.
Yep.
But you just push everything back a day. Monday becomes Tuesday. Tuesday becomes Wednesday. That's the way it is.
So real quickly, our listeners may or may not know this, but in Alabama, they haven't started their season yet.
Right.
So there is no film on Moody.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
which is,
we can go off of, we can watch the games from last year, but, Moody does a great job. Their program is growing and changing, and it's not always the same players.
No.
So how do y'all really kind of dive into trying to prepare for a team that you really can't watch any film on?
Well, I think Jake's done a great job there. And, a lot of people that are in Georgia probably don't know Moody like I know, just because, when I was at Aniana, we played Moody, and that was a stint where they had a couple of years where they got deep in the playoffs, and then the program kind of fell off a little bit. And then when Jake came in, he kind of reestablished the culture, and then, gave them a little bit of swagger and a confidence about what they're doing. And because he came over from Thompson, tried to bring that culture over, and has done a really good job of that. So when we watch film, we watch last year's film because I think they're going to be who they are. There'll be some changes, but, they've got a lot of guys back defensively, all right, and they've picked up some guys that are really, really good players. They've picked up a few skilled players on the perimeter that are really, really good. They got a new quarterback that transferred in from Hewitt-Trussville. He was the backup over there. Don't know how much experience he's got, but I know he can spin it and he can throw it. He's a good athlete. So, we got our work cut out for us. I mean, this will be one of the tougher matchups we'll have all year within, outside of our region. And I don't know if a lot of people realize that, but I mean, this group, they're expected to win the state championship in 5A in Alabama.
And they played for it. They played for it last year.
They played for it last year, and then they are the number one, I guess you would say, what everybody's predicted them to win it. So,
Timeout. Moody from Alabama, led by Jake Gannis, former UAB player, came to Georgia.
Yep.
Georgia Bulldog fans should know him well. They played for the state title last year.
Yep. Sure did. Yep.
They're a good program. I mean, that's the thing is, like, for people that may have, whether they watched it on NFHS or they went to the game or they just heard about it last year, like, that was a really tough game.
It was a tough game.
I mean, the first half, like,
well, I mean, we're 3-0. We got to drive down to get a field goal, 3-0 at halftime. And then we reel off 28 unanswered points in the second half. But, we really had to work for them. I mean, we converted a couple of 3rd and 14s that don't normally happen, and we converted those. We had a punt return for a touchdown. So, we didn't play particularly well. We just played well in some spots.
Right.
And then defensively, they couldn't get on track on offense. I mean, the only score they had, they hit us deep on a ball where – we just at the end of the game. But, yeah, I mean, they do a really, really good job. And the thing about it, I mean, I think they've already put something out on social media, Peach State takeover or whatever. So they try to have that swagger about what they're doing. But, our kids respect them, Now, how much they respect us, I don't know.
Yeah, as they should. And I mean no disrespect and sort of being –
which is what we don't know. It's what we don't know.
But it just, I remember the game last year. I remember vividly being at Moody and a great little hole in the wall place. I went and had a burger after the game. It was absolutely wonderful. But I just don't, I think about what a 5A state champion looks like.
Yeah.
It was vastly different.
I mean, they had tons of players on the field. I remember, their offensive line was massive. Actually had one of their SROs. I guess he hadn't seen us yet, but he was like, Coach, I just want to tell you now, we got a real big offensive line. And I was just like, you hadn't seen ours yet, baby.
Well, the personnel-wise, like when you look at them top to bottom, last year, they gave us a problem in the box. I mean, their 2 defensive ends are going D1. One of them's going to Alabama. The D tackle's back. The biggest one that's the most active guy gave us some issues last year. They lost a couple of guys in the secondary. They picked up a couple of guys. And then, offensively, it's not that you may not know those guys, but like they got guys that can hurt you that may not have a bunch of offers, but they're really, really good football players. So I don't know. I mean, just, we go into every game respecting our opponent, and I know what Jake's about. So I know what kind of, swag they'll bring, and I know what kind of confidence they'll bring into this thing, and I know how hard they've prepared to beat us, and they've had, 6 to 8 months to work on it. And I know we're not the most important thing to them, but I promise you they don't forget last year.
No doubt.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt they haven't forgotten what happened last year, the second half that happened for them last year, and there's no doubt they're coming here wanting to prove something.
That's right. Yep.
How much do you, and I go back to your time at Hoover and what a national brand Hoover was when you were there and creating that for Gainesville again. is maybe not top priority, but a priority, because along with that comes success. You can't be a national brand and not be successful.
Exactly right.
But so these out of state, these out of state games, how much do you enjoy them? And yes, we've had a home and home with Moody. Kind of what does the future hold?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I want to grow it. I mean, I do. I think I think that's the level of football we want to play. And I think, region's region play. You know who you're playing in the region. But I think it's exciting for our kids, puts our program on a whole nother level nationally, because, we began to start getting a lot of respect last year, when we got, whether it's Max Preps or, High School America football. I mean, we're ranked within the top 50 last year, up until we played Carrollton, right? So there was a respect there. But when too much is given, much is required. So there's an ownership you have to take with that and a responsibility. It's how you carry your program. It's the expectations you have. And when our kids know, like when I was at Hoover, we flew to Allen, Texas. I mean, we raised money to have our own plane. Yeah. I mean, we paid a lot of money for just us to have our own plane and to treat our kids to that. Mm-hmm. They'll never forget that experience. We came to Camden County. We came to Colquitt. I mean, we played a lot of national games and then the next thing is when you start playing national games and you win them is to get on TV. Yeah. Because I want our program on national TV. And that's a goal of mine. And you gotta do a really good job of winning, and you gotta win consistently to get that done. So
I'm gonna take us a little bit of left field here. Jake Gainesville, who I've had the opportunity to speak to quite a bit, but when I first heard his name, it came across, people in Alabama call him the young Josh Niblett. So what is that? When you hear that, what does that make you think?
I think it's just a guy that's got a lot of confidence, that believes in his culture and doesn't care what everybody else thinks, and just cares about his group and their swagger and what they need to be. I mean, I think that's and then gonna make sure he's wearing what needs to be worn, whether it's change clothes. He don't change clothes as much as I do, but And by the way, last week really got me because I couldn't get an extra change, so I had to come out and warm up in my normal gear, and I was totally down about that. I can't even tell you.
You say you were down about that, but last week was the first week in the 3+1 game tenure of Josh Niblett where we have gotten a picture of you smiling on the football field.
That doesn't happen a whole lot.
And it's a gorgeous smile.
But I went back and kind of looked at that. I don't know if that was a smile or I was just making a face or something. I'm not sure what that was.
It was a grimace.
Well, and last week I broke out the belt buckle, the Wranglers in the black cowboy hat. I mean, that's staying. I'm not leaving that. So my wife, she didn't want me to wear the hat, My daughter's like, wear the hat. Everybody else is wear the hat. I was going to wear the hat no matter what. But I did, when I took my suitcase home, I still had an extra change of clothes that were still in there that I just left them in there for this week, so they'll be ready to go.
I got to tell you, we had a family outing this past weekend. And when I say family outing, I mean a bunch of our staff got together to enjoy some fellowship. And as part of that fellowship, I was talking with Karen Niblett, lovely wife of the man sitting with us, Josh Niblett. And I said, Karen, where did the cowboy era come from?
Yeah.
And she begins to tell me the story, and you went as a staff to a dude ranch, essentially, in Alabama that's run by a friend of Coach Niblett's and all. And, but the bottom line was, I really didn't want him to wear that hat. Yeah. And then he wore the hat anyway. I was like, I thought he looked good in the hat.
So when I got through playing college ball, I kind of got in with some guys that roped. And so I kind of got in with that a little bit. And then all of a sudden I became a college coach. Well, then you don't have enough time to do that, And then you get married. You sure don't have enough time then. Right. And then I don't have enough money to buy any horses. So so that era kind of just got put up in the closet a little bit. And then I tried to ride a little bit when I was in Aniana and was able to do that a little bit. But in Hoover, there's nowhere to ride. So when I got here and my quarterback that, he's the cattleman at the Big Oak Ranch, been able to go see him a couple of times, get out and ride, and took our staff. I mean, got honeycut on a horse, which was unbelievable.
We have photo
Sight to be
proof.
seen.
It was
right,
awesome.
that's right.
It was awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's just something I enjoy. That's just different for me, and I could do something that I like to do.
Yeah, I love that. Listen, I personally love the cowboy phase. Let's go. Roll with it.
I got to go on.
Let's
this
ride.
I got to go on this coach's retreat. Coach was kind enough to
Yeah.
let me go, and I saw when I saw him riding around, I was like, oh, we're gonna see this again. I had
Yeah,
no
no.
doubt on that
Yeah.
one.
If you will just do the okay, let's set it up, folks. Let's set it up. Elephant walk on a horse.
Wow, that would be impressive.
Right? Come on
Yep.
now.
Yeah, you never know.
We never know.
You never know. in
You don't
Gainesville.
ever know. Yeah.
We
You
can't
don't.
let the horse ride the bus down Dixon.
Yeah.
That'd be a little too much. But a horse could meet you at
Well,
the top.
maybe I could escort the buses in.
on a horse.
On a horse.
Oh my gosh.
Well, what do you think they'd say about putting a horse on Bobby Gruen?
No, that would. I know that's not happening. So I can promise you that. I can promise you that.
That is fantastic.
Wow.
Moody and Gainesville tonight, folks, on Bobby Gruen Field. The best show in town. If you hadn't gotten your T-shirt yet, you might not be out of luck. You might can pick one up before game time as you're listening to this. Coach Niblett, always a pleasure talking to you. Best of luck to you and the boys tonight. Again, as we go for victory number 2 of this 2025 season. Behind the G, be right back. As we wrap things up this week, I got to tell you, Red Elephants, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Even more of a pleasure to have you with us listening Behind the G. Tune in next week as we actually welcome in longtime GHS cross country and track and field coach Rich Corbett. If you have a question you would like answered on the show or a show topic you want discussed, maybe there's a guest, a special guest you would like to hear from, please email me. Let us know, katie.davis@gcssk12.net. And until next time, be great, Big Red, and we'll talk to you soon from Behind the G.